broadcast, actually. That is for those who are listening to us for the very, very, very first time. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We're glad that you could join in today, hoping that your morning is starting on a great, great note, and that you will be prepared for what today might be. It's raining. It's been for some hours now, still drizzling. So, of course, you know that that's going to come with some chills. It's going to be a little cooler than usual. So for the kids especially, it would be advisable that you make sure they keep warm. Even for the adult, especially the elderly, yes, it would be nice to wear warm clothing and stay warm. Don't play with the rains. It used to be an attraction way back then, but you know, with the whole issues of coronavirus and all, it's better to just stay safe and stay warm as you get about your day. Well, we will be here making sure that we add that little note of magic to your day in the ways that we know how to, whether it's through the information, the updates, the music, everything put together. The radio is your companion. Of course, you know that the whole idea is to make sure that you have a great time while going through your day. Yeah, so wish all of us a beautiful Thursday as we move on. And today's show, I don't know why I'm laughing. Today's show is about recent information that came to light about 48 hours ago or thereabout. The UK made an announcement, and that announcement has gotten a lot of people talking, including the federal government. I'm going to start from what the announcement is, and then we'll build it up to what the government has said concerning the announcement. And then I will link up with my guest who will be joining me over the phone this morning, and then we'll have the conversation on what the UK has said, the reaction of the government, and what the true implications of those are to the situation on ground as we have it. If you're still trying to guess what I'm talking about, it's about the UK acknowledging that it was to begin granting asylum to persecuted IPOB and MASOB members. Now, you have to recognize the word persecuted. For context, I'm going to get us the definition of persecution so that we know exactly what we're talking about. Hostility and ill treatment, especially because of race, or political or religious beliefs. So oppression based on your race, your political or religious beliefs is what the dictionary says persecution is. Now, bearing that in mind, listen to what the report says. The UK Visas and Immigration, which is known as the UKVI, has released new guidelines to its decision makers on how to consider and grant asylum application by members of Biafran secession groups, the Cable reports. Now, asylum is to be granted to persecuted members of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, which has been designated as a terrorist organization by the Nigerian government, and also to the Movement for the Actualization of the Sovereign State of Biafra, known as MASOB. IPOB was formed in 2012 by Nnamdi Kanu and is believed to be an offshoot of MASOB, which was founded in 1999 by Ralph Uwazurike. Both of these groups are campaigning for the secession of mainly the Southeast, but also of other several ethnic nationalities from Nigeria. Now, in the just released country policy and information notes seen by the Cable, the UKVI, which is a division of the Home Office, directed its decision makers to consider if a person who actively and openly supports IPOB is likely to be at risk of arrest and detention and ill treatment, which is likely to amount to persecution. According to these guidelines, the decision makers must also consider if the Nigerian government's actions are acts of prosecution, not persecution. Those fleeing persecution or punishment for a criminal offense are not normally refugees. Persecution may, however, they say, amount to persecution if it involves victimization in its application by the authorities. An example of persecution, the UKVI said, is if it is the vehicle or excuse for, or if only certain groups are persecuted for a particular offense and the consequences of that discrimination are sufficiently severe. Punishment which is cruel, inhumane, or degrading, including punishment which is out of all proportion to the offense committed, may also amount to persecution. Now, I'd like to believe that you understand what this section says, but if you do not, according to the UKVI, an example of persecution is if the vehicle or excuse of any certain group being persecuted for a particular offense and consequences are severe and not fair, in that if two groups are doing the same thing, but the government decides to focus its persecution on one group as against the other. Yeah, so two groups are causing chaos, they're disrupting the peace, meddling with the order, and the focus seems to be on one group doing that as against the two groups being fairly dealt with. The UKVI says that could be a pointer to persecution of a group. Now, they're not oblivious of the fact that there are some people who actually commit criminal offenses in the name of Biafra or IPOB, but they say that even that persecution, which is like treating someone for a criminal offense that they've committed, can be turned into persecution if the government uses excessive force, treats them inhumanely, and particularly targets them above other such groups. They're also the UKVI says its decision makers are also to consider each case on its facts to determine if the person is likely to be of interest to the Nigerian government, whether it is for the legitimate grounds of persecution, which is proportionate and non-discriminatory. In the midst of all of this, though, the onus is on the applicants who are applying for asylum to demonstrate that they will be at risk of persecution or serious harm in Nigeria, according to these new guidelines. But not only that, I'm going to have to skip a lot of this, but the UK acknowledges the Nigerian government has a responsibility to maintain law and order, to prevent and protect the public against acts of violence. It said where supporters of members of MASOB or IPOB have incited or used violence to disrupt public order, the government may have legitimate grounds to arrest and prosecute those people. However, where the government has arrested and detained persons who, for example, peacefully participate in demonstrations and has then charged them with treason, or the person is subjected to periods of detention in degrading or inhumane conditions, such treatment is unlikely to be fair or proportionate and is likely to amount to persecution. I hope that these things come across to you as clearly as I'm reading them out. But also, you need to know that the UK defines Biafra as an area in the southeast of Nigeria that comprises the states of Abia, Imo, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Anambra State. Now, the area is inhabited principally by Igbo people, who are one of the country's 3 largest ethnic groups, according to this report. So this was the news announcing the move by the UK to be more open to the idea of giving asylum to those seeking it from whether they're IPOB members or MASOB members. This got the swift reaction of the federal government, as you can imagine. The federal government says that the reported decision by the United Kingdom to grant asylum to persecuted members of the indigenous people of Biafra is disrespectful to Nigeria Nigeria as a nation. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, also said that the decision amounted to sabotaging the fight against terrorism and generally undermining Nigeria's security. While fielding questions at the News Agency of Nigeria interview program on Tuesday, Mr. Mohammed said the decision is unacceptable to Nigeria. Will this be enough to get the UK to stop? Very unlikely. But equally interesting is what Garba Shehu recently had to say concerning secessionists and what their plans are. He seems to strongly believe that secessionists just want money and they're trying to bully the president into giving them these monies. And he says the president will not be bullied. As a matter of fact, I do have an audio that I'll be playing to that effect, but we have to take a commercial break at this point. After that break, I will play you the voice of Garba Shehu giving his opinion, or if you like, the government's opinion as regards what secessionists are after. And then I'll have my guest, Barrister Benga Gwangwashi, on the line, talk about things regarding asylum and this interesting decision by the UK Visa Office to give asylum to IPOB and MASOB members. Don't go away.
If you don't know the transfer news, you might tell your friends your team has the top striker.
What are you talking about?
If you tell your friends your team has the top striker, they might loudly disagree. If they loudly disagree, the whole viewing center might get involved. If the whole viewing center gets involved, you might lose the argument. If you lose the argument, you might kick the floor in frustration. Before things get out of hand, settle it with Google Search. Get the latest football news, live scores, transfers, probabilities, and so much more on your Google app.
Na gode ranka ya daɗe. Allah ya saka da alkhairi.
Babu damuwa abokina. Wannan ai ba komai bane.
Baba, me yasa kake raba wa al'umma kyauta a lokacin Ramadan?
Mahaifina ya taba faɗa min kuma ni ma zan shaida maka. Kyauta ginshiƙin rayuwa ce. Kai kyautar wani abu kullum komai kankantar sa. Don haka ka zama mai kyautatawa wasu kamar yadda kai ma ake alfahari a gare ka.
Shi yasa ka sai sabon paketin Indomie na farin cikin fara azumin watan Ramadan?
Tare da sabon paketin Indomie din zan iya raba wa al'ummar da ke kusa da ni a wannan lokaci na Ramadan.
Shin zan iya raba tawa taliyar ta Indomie da makotanmu masu bukata?
Tabbas
zaka iya.
Kasance mai moraggara basar kyautatawa cikin watan azumin Ramadan da taliyar Indomie. Taliyar Indomie abinci mai ɗanɗano wanda ya dace da ku.
Hello, good afternoon. How may I help you, please?
Yes, I would like to buy data to watch plenty videos. You know now, music, sports, in short, everything on YouTube.
What is your budget, sir?
As low as possible.
Well, how does 50 naira for an hour sound?
50 naira for 1 hour? Ha! Talk true!
Yes, with Glow YouTube plan, you can stream all your favorite YouTube videos for as low as 50 naira.
Hey, what do I do?
Simply dial *777# to get started.
Get the super affordable YouTube time-based plans from Glow and start feasting on your favorite YouTube videos for as low as 50 naira for 1 hour during the day and 50 naira for 5 hours at night. Dial *777#, select data, select social bundle, and select YouTube to choose the Glow YouTube plan that's just right for you. Glow Unlimited.
Come, you don't put yeast for bread before? The dough go just the rise like 5,000 naira when you put for EcoBank. Before you know, if it become 25,000 naira.
Oga Beka!
Hi! Now so EcoBank customers just the dance a willow as EcoBank Super Rewards don't begin boku their money falla. Save 5,000 naira for your EcoBank account for 30 days or open new EcoBank account with 5,000 naira deposit and you fit be one of the 50 people who go collect 25,000 naira a woof every week for 4 months. 4 people go win 1 million naira grand prize each. Collect EcoBank card for your account and link your card to *326# or EcoBank mobile to increase your assurance. Terms and conditions apply. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
As the best man, I'd like to give a toast. But first, I have a few things to say. The money they are spraying the couple is reducing. It seems some people have rubbed glue under their shoes to pack it.
Clearly, he's been watching comedy nights or maybe My Siblings and I on Africa Magic Urban, DSTV channel 153. Now, you too can get inspired by our local entertainment. Get a HD decoder, dish, plus 1 month DSTV compact subscription for only 18,600 naira. Because great stories start on DSTV.
Ní ìlú tó kún fún oríṣiríṣi àwọn èèyàn, Fẹlákùn lè bá igba orí mu, pàápàá jùlọ tá a bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ ohun sísùn. Ìdí èyí tá a fi dìídì ṣe mú kàyé fún ọ, ìwọ ìyá, bàbá, ọmọdé, àgbàlagbà. Báyìí, wọ́n mú ká tìrẹ rí lónìí, kó o sì jí pẹ̀lú ara rẹ̀ láti lè ṣiṣẹ́ òòjọ́ rẹ̀. Kàn sí muka.com.
Muka, ó mú ìrọ̀rùn sínú ayé wa. Charles!
Yes, mommy?
Go and bring 2 sachets of hyper bleach for me.
Why 2?
Because I'm using 1 to soak the whites and using 1 to kill all the germs.
But I can't see any germs here.
They are so tiny you can't see them. But they are there. And that is why I trust only hyper bleach to kill them all.
Make your white fabrics whiter and your household free of illness causing germs and viruses with the disinfecting power of hyper bleach.
The BBC News World Service app makes listening to your favorite programs on your phone even easier. And for times when you can't use Wi-Fi or data to listen, just hit the call to listen button in the middle of the screen.
This is the BBC World Service.
Call to listen is only available in selected territories. For dial-up news services, standard geographic mobile charges will apply. Please check with your provider for exact cost before calling. Download the BBC News World Service app from your usual store.
Àkókò ìjà tó pa bámbárì jù tá a ti ń retí ń lọ kó sókàn báyìí o kì í sí ibú yẹn láàrin jù bá náà lọ. Ó mà ṣe o ẹ̀wù bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń kú bí ojú bí ẹ̀ṣẹ́ àgbà wọlé lọ́tún lọ́sí. Ó dilẹ̀ gbága yìí ó ṣubú yàkàtà ó fìdí rẹ̀ ní ìjà parí o kò sọ́gun mọ́ kò sọ́tẹ̀ mọ́ àlùbámi ni bọ́sìkà tó borí lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i.
Gba ìtura kíá kúrò lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀fọ́rí ìrora àti òtútù pẹ̀lú bọ́sìkà. Bọ́sìkà ń gba ẹ̀fọ́rí ìrora àti òtútù lágbàwọlẹ̀ ní kíákíá. Bí àyípadà kò bá sí lẹ́yìn ọjọ́ mẹ́ta lọ rí dókítà.
Papa Maka, if I see something they worry this on a generator, not be yesterday on a service arm.
See Akpan, I don't tire. I'm at 10,000 naira give am. Small time now. The thing go pafuke again.
If to say you increase that 10,000 naira for your FCMB account for 30 days, you for don't qualify to join the 10 people who go win 1 million naira each inside the FCMB Millionaire promo. Well, the promo now from April to September 2021, so opportunities still day. Other plenty cash prizes save day like 25,000 naira, 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira. The FCMB Millionaire promo now for all the new customers. So make you go save sharp because anything feel possible. FCMB, my bank and I.
King's my dream, no. That Fun King's my dream,
Do you know you can bake a cake for as little as 1,000 naira? You don't believe? With new Devon King's margarine. Enjoy yummy, buttery taste and softer, fluffier texture on all your cakes and pastries with new Devon King's margarine.
That Fun King's my dream, no.
Splash FM 105.5.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us here on Splash 105.5 FM, Thursday's edition of Beyond the Surface. Today we're taking a look at the new information, the UK beginning to grant asylum to those seeking it, especially members of IPOB and MASOB with corresponding reasons. Now, I give you a rundown of that story and how the federal government has reacted to it. You might be asking, why is that important? Well, it is important for different reasons. It's important that we should talk about this for different reasons. One is, I think it has to be the biggest, IPOB has been prescribed in Nigeria. The Nigerian government considers IPOB a terrorist organization. Another reason why this is important is because IPOB's main call is for secession of Biafra from Nigeria. The government doesn't, of course, like this. And then it is important because the UK is an ally of the Nigerian government. Not only are they an ally, I mean, we have deep running history with the UK, especially considering that they are our colonial masters. Yeah, so there is history there. And this decision by the UK to particularly grant asylum to IPOB and MASOB members, you can imagine, would piss off the Nigerian government, who, as we've seen in the past, do not like to entertain any conversation around secession and the call for a disunited Nigeria. As a matter of fact, take a listen to what Garba Shehu recently had to say concerning those who seek secession in Nigeria.
The National Secretary has said a bit of that. Is that you can't intimidate Buhari. You can't bully him. A lot of these people who are calling for secessions, they're the problem of this country. And I'm happy that reasonable opinion is now reasonable voices are now rising. Is it not only yesterday we were reading Afenifere saying we are not the most credible faction of Afenifere. We are not for secession. Ohaneze Ndibo has said this over and over again. So this thing about secession is, they had used it in the past. You cry secession and break off of Nigeria, and then you intimidate the city leader. And then he opens the vote and he brings money to settle people. President Buhari will pay no one. He's not going to pay. And now it is clear that having ignored all of that, reasonable opinions are coming from those states and from those regions. The governors in the southwest, we have all had them. They have denounced all of these things. So it's a sham.
Garba Shehu, one of the spokesperson of the president, given what you could say is the presidential stance on secession and those who are crying for it. Now, interesting comments you might want to say. Now, I would want you to take that in. While I connect with my guest for this morning, I did say we'll be speaking with Barrister Gbenga Bamgbose, who is a current affairs analyst, a legal practitioner himself, and he'll be able to help us understand the concept of asylum and how the UK, saying it would give asylum to IPOB and MASOB members could change the game if it can. What the implications of those would be, and if the Nigerian government has valid grounds for opposing that. By the way, we're streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Splash FM 1055. For those who do not know, you can watch us, and then feel free to leave your comments. We'll be taking that as the show progresses. Good morning to you, Barrister Gbenga. Nice to have you join us again this morning. Hello, Barrister, can you hear me? Do you think?
Well, I sincerely do not think the government is tough-handed. Because if you actually consider the antecedents of IPOB and, there are other groups, you will know that they are very violent and extremist in their approach. And as far as I know, this country is a country that is founded on principles. So if IPOB has got any reservations about the way the country is being governed or about their continued, association with this country, I think there are laid down rules which governments have not actually respected. But then I don't think it is the government of the United Kingdom, for instance, that should actually be given asylum to people who have been described as terrorists, to members of a group who have been proscribed. So I think it is unacceptable, and it does show that the government of the United Kingdom does not respect the territorial integrity of the country.
Is that what it is? Or is it that the UK believes that there isn't enough grounds to label these people terrorist groups in the first place? I mean, Nigeria has seen its own fair share of a lot of chaos and insecurity caused by different groups over the years. Would you honestly say that IPOB does the worst?
But sincerely, if you actually take a very sincere look at the conduct and approaches of IPOB as a group, I think it shows very clearly that they are very sinister in their motives and motivations. No doubt about that. I am not saying that is regardless of the causes they say they are fighting for. But if you actually consider the way they have been going about achieving their aims, it leaves too much to desire.
Which ways are you pointing to, Barrister Mwenga?
In recent times, you will see that they have been bombing police stations, attacking policemen.
They have denied that, haven't they? Did they say they are not responsible?
Well,
they didn't do it.
They said they are not responsible, but then what their leader,
Nnamdi Kanu,
what he actually says is quite different from what the people on ground here are saying. So it is, except you want to actually be deceiving one another, if you consider the approach IPOB has adopted, even their own intelligentsia, their own leadership in the southeast are not very enamored of the way they are going about it. So I think there are no ways mincing about. There are no two ways about this. What they are doing is wrong, totally wrong. Yes, I know that they are very much after self-determination, but the approach is something that should be roundly condemned.
Okay.
And that is the truth.
I mean, the UK doesn't play around before it makes decisions like this. It's not like Nigeria that seems to be unsure of policies. We see a lot of policy somersaults with us here. UK is usually one of those countries that think things through before eventually coming up with this. So, I mean, what do you think would have gotten them
we cannot
here?
Also be very definitive about the fact that UK is granting them asylum, because when I listened to what the Minister of Information actually said, Lai Mohammed, he said it was a report, and that while he was not the appropriate person to actually be answering the questions and all of that on IPOB, that he is sure that the Ministry of Justice is taking up the report to ascertain its certainty or otherwise. So maybe I think it is still very much in the realm of conjecture. But if it were to be true, I think what the UK is doing is undermining the integrity of this country, and that is a very wrong.
To confirm.